anything. You went and
Yes, sir.
you went and took it. You won the division, the best division in the world. You guys went and won it. You're in the playoffs. There's a whole lot more to play for. Hey, everyone's getting a game ball today.
Zach Taylor, who a year ago, the Monday after Week 17, which of course was the last Sunday of the season before they added the extra game, the Bengals, amid rampant rumors that Zach Taylor was going to be fired after 2 seasons as the coach, they actually issued a statement, and I can't think of another time this was done. They issued a statement saying he's not being fired. And obviously he wasn't fired, and now he's the head coach of the worst-to-first Cincinnati Bengals, the team that someone said back in August had no chance of making it to the playoffs. If only I could remember who that was. I'm having a little trouble recalling that I said that. You got lucky, Charean. We did a draft, and it was so stupid. PFT Live draft, the teams with no chance to make it to the playoffs. Charean picked the Panthers, and we did 3 each. I mean, that was kind of a gutsy and kind of a stupid move. One of my picks was the Bengals. One of yours was the Panthers. You had to sweat out Carolina until they fell apart. I've had to sweat out Cincinnati all year. And they've been on this weird thing where they win to, lose to, win to, lose to, win to, lose to. So after every couple games, I start thinking, hey, yeah, maybe they won't make the playoffs. And then they get on a winning streak, and now they've won 3 in a row, and obviously they're in. But along the way, Charean, what happened yesterday, very exciting ending to the game in Cincinnati. They had the ball, 4th and 1, with under 58 seconds left, and they had the play that was nullified by offsetting penalties, and then they went for it again, and they got lucky. And as MDS pointed out on Twitter, this is one of those reasons why you go for it on 4th and short. Now, here's the offsetting fouls that resulted in one more opportunity, and then they did it again. You if you throw the ball, you're maybe going to get lucky, and maybe there's going to be a flag thrown on the defense, and there's the yellow laundry, and there's the call, and you get your automatic first down. And at that point, it's game over. So, look, I think Zach Taylor did the right thing there, just because you're either getting a touchdown or you're putting Patrick Mahomes on his 1-yard line with under a minute to play. You're not kicking the field goal and giving him the ball back with 46 seconds. I'm not doing that with Patrick Mahomes. I'm not doing that with Aaron Rodgers. I don't know how many other quarterbacks I'm not doing that with. Maybe Tom Brady, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it with Patrick Mahomes. No way, no how. I think Zach Taylor absolutely made the right call. If it had been any of the teams other than the Packers and Bucks and Chiefs, then I would have said, take the field goal and don't go for it on 4th down. But that's part of what you have to factor into your decision-making process.
Yeah, and when it works out, and coaches are a genius, and we should obviously have Zach Taylor in the Coach of the Year conversation with what he's been able to do with the team that doesn't have that history that some of these other teams do. It worked out, so it looks like a great decision, obviously, with what happened. I will say this, Joe Burrow is not right because of that knee injury, there are going to be questions about why they didn't kick the field goal in that situation, because it was on that play with 50 seconds left that he got banged to the ground and immediately grabs his knee, limps off the field, and Brandon Allen has to come in for the last 2 plays. And I know they've downplayed it. I get all that, and maybe he's just fine. Maybe it's not going to be a factor. But if it is, we're going to go back and we're going to review this a week from now or 2 weeks from now and go, why in the world didn't they kick the field goal and prevent Joe Burrow from taking that last hit? But it worked out for the Bengals. I understand why they did it, even with Patrick Mahomes only passing for 259 yards in that game. You're right. You do not want to give Patrick Mahomes the ball back, trailing by 3 with 50 seconds left or whatever it is, and a chance to go tie or win the game. I don't want to do that. So it worked out for the Bengals, and Zach Taylor deserves to be in the Coach of the Year conversation because of that decision and others that he's made this year.
You see the knee get twisted as Joe Burrow goes to the ground. He said it's good enough after the game. He said he could have come back. He actually said he first injured the knee 4 weeks ago against the Chargers, and I suspect the injury reports from the Bengals probably don't contain many breadcrumbs to that effect. But he was dancing in the locker room after the game, although I'm not quite sure what I saw would count as dancing. He was moving around on that knee, and he had a cigar, and he seemed to be okay. So we'll see what happens this weekend against the Cleveland Browns. That's a team that beat the Bengals handily several weeks ago, and the Browns may still be – are the Browns done? Are they done? It's over for them.
Yes,
they're done.
They're out.
The Browns are done. Oh, the Browns is the Browns after all. Hey, the Browns may just be looking to one last game, one last punch in the gut for the Bengals and send them into the postseason on a sour note. So either way, we'll see if Burrow is able to play this weekend. But I want to go back 2 weeks ago to the Ravens-Packers game when the Ravens went for two. And one of my critiques of the decision to go for two was if you put Aaron Rodgers down by a point with it was something like 45 seconds left to play, something like that, you give him an urgency to get in position for the game-winning field goal. If you give him the ball back and it's tied, maybe he won't take the same risks. They won't go for it on fourth down, for example. They'll play for overtime. But that's a huge factor. Who you're giving the ball back to has to be considered, and that's why it was absolutely right for Zach Taylor to do what he did. Other quarterbacks, I'd say, why the hell are you doing it? Patrick Mahomes, I know why he did it. All right, the Cowboys offense, the Cowboys defense, well, it's mainly the offense that's so inconsistent. Charean, you were at the game. We thought they were figuring it out with what they did to Washington last Sunday night. What did you see from the Cowboys offense yesterday in comparison to that great performance that we saw just 8 days ago?
Well, and I went to both locker rooms yesterday, and Budda Baker talked a lot about the disguising of the coverages to Dak, and he said you have to do that with him, and you have to confuse him a bit, and that's what they thought they were able to do. Thought Tyron Smith had a horrible game in his first game back against Chandler Jones. He just didn't block him very well. That was a factor. They couldn't run the ball. Dak Prescott was the team's leading rusher. All of those things added up to a loss. And frankly, if this defense doesn't force turnovers, they had the 3 consecutive games when they forced 4 turnovers. If they don't force those turnovers, then this offense, to me, really struggles. And you start thinking about the Cowboys, and they were asked a lot about this after the game, about their signature win this year. Who have they beaten that makes you think that they can go in the postseason and win 3 playoff games to get to the Super Bowl? Chargers, the Patriots, maybe. Those teams didn't even win their divisions, though. There's really not that signature victory that this team has where you just go, yeah, I'm completely confident they can go in round one. And, hey, they're probably going to play the Cardinals again, and Kyler Murray's 9-0 at AT&T Stadium. I would not like to be in their shoes right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure they can win one playoff game if Kyler Murray comes back.
Exactly.
And I wonder at what point Jerry Jones is going to begin coveting thy neighbor's quarterback and start trying to plot a path to get Kyler Murray to Dallas. I mean, that's a hell of a record at AT&T Stadium. At some point, you got to wonder when Jerry and Steven are going to have a little sit down and, a little Johnny Walker Blue and come up with some sort of a plan to get Kyler Murray in the silver helmet with the blue star. Tell me what happened with the fact that the Cowboys didn't have a timeout and therefore couldn't challenge an obvious officiating error before the 2-minute warning where the Cardinals had fumbled, the Cowboys had recovered, but there was nothing anybody could do about it. Because there wasn't a red flag to be thrown, because there wasn't a timeout to back it up.
Yeah, you go back to 4:04, Mike, left in the third quarter, and Arizona had a 4th and 5 on the Dallas 8. And so what they did is brilliant. They sent their kicker out onto the field, Matt Prater. He's lined up on the far right there. But when the Cowboys saw that the kicker was coming out of the field, you have to have time to match the substitutions. Well, they sent players on and off the field, so they had time to match up on them, but the rest of the Cardinals offense was on the field. They had no intention of going for this, and it's amazing because you look on the side, that's Zach Ertz and A.J. Green and Christian Kirk who were uncovered on the left side. So they would have had an easy touchdown if they'd actually snapped the ball probably. Cowboys quickly called timeout, and that timeout turned out to be just a huge event in this game when the Cowboys used their third and final timeout right before the play where Chase Edmonds fumbled and they couldn't challenge it. Otherwise, Dallas would have had the ball at their own 29, down 3. Dak Prescott with the ball. You don't want to give him the ball down 3, on 29 with 2 minutes left in the game. So Cardinals ended up winning that game. Officiating error and a great play call. Cliff Kingsbury credited their special teams coach, Jeff Rogers, for calling that when they practiced it all week, and they were ready for that when they needed it.
So they did it simply to force the Cowboys to burn a timeout. That's why they did it. They were never going to call that play.
The only reason they did it.
Yeah.
Correct.
And when you do it, I mean, that's some next-level thinking. The last thing that you're ever going to expect is that you're going to force them to burn a timeout, and then they're not going to have any timeouts even when there's an officiating error that hurts them with more than 2 minutes to play, and they can't challenge. So an impressive outcome for the Cardinals if they were thinking that many steps ahead on the chessboard. The Vikings not thinking many steps ahead because there may be some big changes after this season. Should they have put Kellen Mond in the game for more than one series? I almost felt like Mike Zimmer put him out there for one series just to shut up whoever was insisting on seeing him, and then he pulls him out of the game. And after the game, he was asked, do you want to see Kellen Mond play this weekend against the Bears? And he said, no, because I see enough of him every day. That's not a ringing endorsement of Kellen Mond, the third-round quarterback that they took when Davis Mills was still on the board, and the Texans were actually going to take Kellen Mond.
Well, it tells you a couple of things, Mike. To me, it was as much a direct shot as the front office as it was at Kellen Mond. And you know, I know Mond a little bit. I know his family, and it was unfortunate for him. I think that Mike Zimmer took this shot at him. I know he hasn't looked great in practice. I get all that. And there's a reason he wasn't starting, because guess what? Sean Mannion was hurt all week. He didn't even he had COVID. So he wasn't even there to practice. So that already told you what the Vikings thought of Kellen Mond to not start him in this game. But the bottom line is, to me, that was a shot at the front office of him saying, hey, I didn't want this guy anyway. Why'd you even draft him? He's not good enough to come in here and play and help us.
I think you're going to lose that one if you're Mike Zimmer. I really do. Rick Spielman has been there a lot longer than Zimmer, and I don't think the scenarios in Minnesota, if we're ranking the possibilities, I don't think Zimmer staying and Rick Spielman going is a realistic outcome. No. Now, maybe Zimmer just wants to blow it all up, and he's going to take everyone down with him on the way out the door. And maybe it is possible that the Wilf family fires everybody. But I think the most likely outcome at this point is that Zimmer's gone after next week's game. I'm a little surprised they didn't fire him today to get a 1 week head start on interviewing assistant coaches from other teams.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.